So John Paul was a little over 3 years old. And it's funny because right after his birthday, I was going through some photos on our computer. And I noticed on several of the pictures that where we would have red eye in the picture, John Paul had a goldenness to one of his eyes. And I remember trying to go into the items on the computer, trying to change the red eye, and his would never change. I didn't think anything of it at that point. He is adopted. He's from Guatemala. And so I thought, well, maybe there's something in his genes that cause his eyes, rather than red eye, to be this yellow or golden color. A couple days later, my wife took him for his annual pediatric appointment. And immediately she said, I'm making an appointment today. He needs to go to the eye specialist. I don't know what this is. So rushed, got an appointment. He was at the pediatrician in the morning. They booked us for the afternoon. That night, obviously, as parents, we are beyond ourselves. We don't know what the next day holds. Even at 3, John Paul was a kid who, it's like he came out of the womb with a ball in his hand, very sports orientated, loved anything with a ball. And we never noticed any issues with his eye at this point. And it's probably because he was 3 and didn't know any different. So obviously we are terrified that night. We go to the eye specialist at Emory the next morning, and they came back with the Coates diagnosis. I think they scheduled his first surgery, I don't even remember at this point, a couple weeks out from there. And they went through all the procedures. It's not actually cutting, it'd be some freezing. I forget what the terminology is. And at that point, obviously, we come home and try to look on the internet for anything that we can find regarding Coates disease, which this is 12 years ago at this point, there was pretty much nothing. I remember one website that had a little information, but it was not much information at all. So felt much better talking with our doctor at that point and what he was going to do in the treatment procedure. I don't know within that first year how many surgeries or treatments John Paul had. I want to say it was maybe 4 that first year. And from there on, it's really been go once a year, have it checked out, maybe twice a year if they see something that might be of interest. But quite honestly, from that terror stage that first night to where he is now, he never says anything about his eye, never complains about it, never has issues with it. It's kind of in a holding pattern of it seems to be okay. There's nothing wrong. He has peripheral vision out of both sides, but there's a big black hole right on that one side. But it really does not affect him that we can see. Like I said, he's a sports kid. He's a goalie in lacrosse, plays high school lacrosse. So he's stopping shots at 90 miles an hour without any complaints. So I guess, from that first stage of terror of what's going to happen to where we are now, it's just something that we deal with. But it's not an everyday thing. It's not an every month thing. It's really not something that we hardly even think about at this point any longer. The thing that I think is great about the Jack McGovern Coates Foundation is that they have their database of people who have signed up, so you can reach out and have contact with. And that's why I wanted to do this interview today, to let people know that there is it's terrifying, yes, but there is a support group. And that's the great thing about the foundation, is that it allows for that foundation, that relationship with others who are going through similar or who have already gone through it, plus all the information that the foundation has that we didn't have early on is a great tool Um, for John Paul, obviously being a lacrosse player and Jack having been a lacrosse player, that's the first thing that's obviously struck a chord with us, that here's this man who was able to play Division I lacrosse with Coates disease. Okay, don't let that affect you. Just go out and do what you do. But I think what the foundation offers that we didn't have was that ability to have a network of people who know what it's like and who may be going through the same issues.